The clang of iron weights, chalk dust hanging in the air. The smell of sweat and determination. This is one of Los Angeles' toughest bodybuilding gyms. Not Gold's Gym, not Muscle Beach. This is where seriousness lives. No chrome equipment, no smoothie bar, just iron plates stacked against brick walls, worn wooden floors, and grunts of maximum effort. When the door opened, nobody looked up. Chesh hook. The first 15 seconds, when Bruce Lee walked in with a small gym bag, the 250-pound bodybuilder laughed. "You're too small to fight," he said. But what happened in the next 10 seconds changed not just that man's mind, but everyone's understanding of what strength really means. This isn't just a story about a fight. This is about how 60 seconds can transform a life, because sometimes the biggest lessons come in the smallest packages. Sun Lon Ler Thursday Sen. The Iron World. Bruce Lee, 26 years old, 5'7", 135 pounds. Black training pants, white t-shirt, by bodybuilding standards, small. He looked like someone who'd wandered into the wrong gym. The gym was half full, about 15 guys. The smallest was probably 190 pounds. Men who measured success in pounds lifted. Men who saw someone Bruce's size as irrelevant. Bruce walked to an empty corner, set down his bag, started warming up. Arm circles, hip rotations, leg swings. To the bodybuilders, it looked like a waste of time. A few glanced over, dismissed him immediately. Bruce was methodical. He wasn't here to impress anyone. If Fury Ray Jen Hook, but the real shock. 10 minutes later, Bruce started his actual workout. But it wasn't what anyone expected. He was doing bodyweight movements, one-arm push-ups on his knuckles. Then he switched. 2-finger push-ups. Just his index and middle fingers, supporting his entire body weight, going down slowly, pressing up explosively, perfect control, power combined. A few more guys noticed, stopped their sets, watched with curiosity. 2-finger push-ups require real strength, functional strength. Bruce did 20 reps, switched hands, 20 more, didn't look strained, just focused, controlled breathing, precise movement. One of the bodybuilders nudged his training partner, pointed at Bruce. They laughed. They weren't impressed. They saw Bruce's size and dismissed it. Thought it was a trick. Thought anyone who weighed as little as Bruce could do it. Thought real strength meant moving heavy external weight. They went back to their bench press. Building curiosity. The bag scene. Bruce moved to the heavy bag hanging in the corner. Didn't put on gloves. Just started hitting. Bare knuckles, straight punches, fast. The bag swung hard. Each punch made a sharp cracking sound, not a dull thud. The sharp crack of penetration, real power. Now more people were watching. The speed was undeniable. The bag moved like it was being hit by someone much bigger. Some of the bodybuilders looked impressed despite themselves. Others remained skeptical, thought it was just technique, not strength, thought Bruce was fast but not powerful. One of the bodybuilders walked over. He was massive, 6'2", 250 pounds, arms like tree trunks, chest like a barrel, legs thickened from years of heavy squats. His name was Mike. Character mystery, Mike's story. He'd been training at this gym for 8 years, competed in Mr. California twice, placed 4th both times, came close but never quite made it to the top. Still, he was respected here, known as one of the strongest guys around. 400-pound bench press for reps, 600-pound squat, 700-pound deadlift. By every metric bodybuilding used to measure strength, he was elite. In his world, those numbers defined what strength meant, what being powerful meant, what deserved respect. Mike stood near Bruce, arms crossed over his massive chest, watching, waiting for Bruce to stop hitting the bag. Bruce felt the presence, felt someone watching, but he didn't stop. Finished his set, let the bag settle, wiped sweat from his forehead with his t-shirt, turned, looked at Mike, didn't say anything, just waited. Neutral expression. Not hostile, not friendly, just present, ready for whatever came next. Mary Jane Hook, R. This is where it gets interesting. Mike spoke, "So what are you training for?" His tone wasn't curious. It was dismissive, challenging. Like he was really asking, "Why are you taking up space in this gym? What gives you the right to be here?" Bruce answered calmly, I'm training for martial arts. Mike nodded slowly, said martial arts like he was tasting the words, testing them, finding them lacking. He said, you know, martial arts is about technique, right? Not real strength. Real strength is what we do here, moving serious weight, building real muscle, real power that you can see and measure. Bruce didn't react, didn't take the bait, didn't argue, just said simply, strength means different things to different people. Mike laughed, not a friendly laugh, a condescending laugh, the laugh of someone who thinks they know better. He said strength means how much you can lift, how much muscle you have on your frame, how much force you can generate with your body. That's strength, that's power. Everything else is just speed and tricks, smoke and mirrors. Pull, racing tension, the audience gathers. Other guys were watching now, starting to notice the confrontation brewing. The gym had gone quieter, fewer weights clanging, more attention focused on this corner. People sensed something happening, a challenge forming, entertainment about to unfold. Mike continued, gaining confidence from his audience. You're what, 130, 140, soaking wet? Bruce stated, matter-of-factly, 135. Mike laughed again. Louder now. He said, I'm 250, solid muscle, I bench press 400 pounds. You probably bench what, 150? Maybe 200 if you're strong for your size. That's not real strength. That's just maintaining your own body weight. Real strength is moving serious weight. Real weight. The kind that separates the strong from the weak. Bruce stayed calm, said there are different types of strength. Mike waved this away, said that's just talk, excuses for people who can't build real size. But Cliffhanger, the challenge, he said, look at you, you're too small to fight anyone my size. I could just grab you, hold you down. Your speed and technique wouldn't matter. You're too small to fight. Bruce looked at Mike, then said, you think size equals fighting ability? Mike said, I know it does. Bruce said, what if I could prove otherwise? Mike grinned, said, you want to fight me? Bruce shook his head, said I can show you something in 10 seconds. Show you that size isn't what matters. Mike was intrigued, said, okay, show me. Bruce said, try to hit me. Mike laughed, said, you want me to try to hit you? Bruce said, yes. One punch. Your best. Mike said, I'll hurt you. Bruce said, you won't. Tazray J. Cook. Sen, you haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. Mike looked around. Other guys watching. He couldn't back down now. Mike said, okay. Squared up, took a boxing stance. He wasn't a boxer, but he knew the basics. Bounced on his feet. Bruce stood relaxed, hands at his sides, not a fighting stance, just standing. Mike saw this, got confident. The gym was silent, everyone watching. Mike took a breath, committed, threw a right cross. His best punch, backed by 250 pounds of muscle and 8 years of training. The punch was fast, traveled toward Bruce's face. The critical moment, 10 seconds. Bruce moved, not away, forward and to the side. 6 inches, the punch passed where his head had been. Bruce was now inside Mike's guard, close, too close for Mike to reset. Bruce's right hand shot out. Open palm struck Mike's solar plexus. Not hard, just enough. Mike's breath exited, all of it, at once. His diaphragm spasmed, he couldn't inhale. His hands dropped, went to his stomach. His mouth opened, gasping. Nothing came in. His face went pale. Panic, the animal panic of suffocation. His knees buckled, didn't fall, just bent forward. Hands on knees, making small choking sounds. The emotional connection, the aftermath. 10 seconds from punch to helplessness. 10 seconds to dismantle a man who outweighed Bruce by over 100 pounds. The gym was dead silent. Nobody moved. After 30 seconds, Mike's diaphragm reset. Air came back, ragged, painful. He straightened slowly, looked at Bruce with confusion, shock. Bruce asked, "Are you okay?" Mike nodded. Couldn't speak, but Bruce said, "What you just experienced is the difference between strength and skill. You're strong, really strong. You can move weight. I can't move what you move. But fighting isn't about moving weight. Fighting is about moving people, and people don't cooperate like barbells do. Teacher Bruce, the beginning of transformation. You threw a good punch. Fast, powerful. But fighting isn't about landing your best punch. It's about not letting your opponent land theirs. It's about position, timing, understanding how bodies move. I struck a nerve cluster that paralyzes breathing. Doesn't require massive force, just precision. Mike found his voice, said, "That's a trick." Bruce said, "There are no tricks in fighting, only things that work and things that don't. What I did works. What you believe that size equals fighting ability doesn't work." Mike said, "But in a real fight," Bruce said, "I just did it, in front of 15 witnesses, in 10 seconds. Mike had no answer. Forgiveness and growth. Bruce said, "I'm not trying to humiliate you, I'm trying to teach you. There's a difference between gym strength and functional strength. You've built an impressive physique, but you've never learned how to use it in combat." Then he said something unexpected. "If you want to learn, I can teach you." Mike looked surprised, said, "Teach me, after I said you were too small?" Bruce said, "Yes, because you learned something in the last 10 seconds. You learned you don't know what you thought you knew. That's the first step to real learning, humility. Most people never get there. You just did." Mike was quiet, then said, "Okay, teach me." Bruce said, "Not today. You need to recover. Your nervous system got shocked. Go home, process this. If you still want to learn, come to my school next week." 1 week later, Oakland. Mike showed up at Bruce's school in Oakland, nervous, out of place. The school was different. Smaller, more focused, less about show, more about substance. Bruce saw him walk through the door, smiled, genuinely pleased, said, "You came, that takes real courage." Mike said quietly, "I want to understand what you did, want to learn what I don't know." Bruce nodded, said, "Good, that's the right mindset. Let's start." Months of training, transformation. Bruce didn't start with techniques, didn't jump into teaching punches or kicks or throws. Started with concepts. Explained the difference between static strength and dynamic strength, between isolated muscle development and integrated body mechanics, between pure tension and relaxed power, between raw force and precise timing. Mike listened carefully, took notes in a small notebook he'd brought. He was used to instruction, used to coaches, telling him how to lift, how to pose, how to structure his diet for maximum muscle growth. But this was different. This wasn't about building size. It was about building capability, about making the body work as a unified system, instead of a collection of individual muscles. The humbling truth, the training over the following months was deeply humbling for Mike. He realized quickly how much unnecessary tension he carried in his body, how his years of bodybuilding had made him strong but rigid, how his impressive size was actually a limitation in ways he'd never considered. He was slow to change positions, burned enormous amounts of energy maintaining constant muscle tension even when it wasn't needed, telegraphed his movements from a mile away because he was used to maximum effort lifts where the setup didn't matter. Bruce worked with him patiently, never mocking, never condescending, just teaching, breaking down his deeply ingrained movement patterns, teaching him how to move efficiently, how to generate explosive power without excessive muscle engagement, how to actually fight instead of just looking like he could fight. Transformation complete. Over months, Mike transformed. Not physically, he was still 250 pounds, still massive, still looked like a professional bodybuilder, but he moved differently now, lighter on his feet, faster in transitions, more controlled in every action. He learned to use his size properly, not as a crutch to rely on, but as a tool to employ strategically. Combined with proper technique, his natural size became devastating. He still wasn't as fast as Bruce. Never would be. Bruce's speed was the product of a lifetime of training. But Mike became effective, dangerous, capable. A 250-pound man who can actually fight is a serious problem for anyone. Mike became that problem. Bruce's final lesson. One day, Bruce told Mike something important. "When we first met, you dismissed me because I was small, but you were open enough to learn after being proven wrong. That's rare. Most people's ego won't allow it." Mike asked why he didn't humiliate him. Bruce said, "Because I've been dismissed too, told I'm too Chinese, too small, too different. I could have used that moment to feel superior. But that doesn't help anyone. Teaching you, helps me, helps everyone you'll eventually teach. Bruce said, you'll go back to your gym. Tell them what you learned. Some will dismiss it like you did. But some will come here. Learn, teach others. That moment wasn't about proving you wrong. It was about planting a seed. Use sullen legacy. The seeds grow. Years passed. Mike integrated martial arts, became known as the bodybuilder who could actually fight. When people asked, he told them about Bruce Lee, about the 10 seconds that changed his life. Some listened. Some trained. The seed kept growing. In 1973, when Bruce died, Mike went to the funeral, saw hundreds of people, all touched by Bruce, all changed. Mike realized he was part of a legacy. Bruce taught that strength comes in many forms, that 10 seconds can change a lifetime. Mike trained for another 30 years, passed on what Bruce taught, not just techniques, philosophy, understanding. When young bodybuilders dismissed martial artists, Mike told them his story. The ripple continued. The final question. That's what 10 seconds created. Not just one lesson. A chain of growth, of people learning their assumptions might be wrong, of discovering that being proven wrong is the first step to being better. Who have you dismissed because of their size, their appearance? What assumptions are you carrying about strength and capability? Because it only takes 10 seconds to prove those assumptions wrong. Bruce gave Mike those 10 seconds. Gave him a lesson he didn't know he needed. Who needs your 10 seconds? Maybe they're the ones who can teach you what you need to learn.